wanna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you 'cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple. It's so simple.
Welcome back to the Gen X Juggler podcast. I'm so glad you're here, and I am so happy to welcome Alison Bladh to the Gen X Juggler podcast today. Alison is an award-winning registered nutritional therapist and esthetician who specializes globally in helping women manage the negative symptoms of midlife, menopause, and beyond. Reignite your inner sparkle and take back your life is her guiding mantra. With over 30 years of experience, Alison offers tailored online programs and one-to-one consultations to support women in reclaiming their health and vitality. As an accomplished author, speaker, and webinar host, she empowers women to harness their hormones and feel their best at any age. That sounds great to me. Thank you for coming on today, Alison. We need you.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me about how you started your journey in the health and wellness industry.
Yeah, my journey, I was a short version of it. It started when I was very young. I was actually a teenager and I had very bad skin. I had acne as a teenager, which, it's hard enough being a teenager as it is, isn't it? Without having suddenly developing acne. And I, even at that age, was very intrigued into why this was happening. And if there was anything that I could do, nutritionally, lifestyle-wise, rather than just having to take medication. So I kind of read as much as I could at that age and changed my diet, changed some of the things that I was doing in my lifestyle. And I saw a huge difference in my skin just through those changes. And that kind of sparked my fascination and love for hormones, because I understood that, a lot of it was to do with hormones. So I trained to be an esthetician, which is a skin specialist, beauty therapist initially. And because of my interest in hormones, I attracted women that had hormone issues with their skin. And this, of course, attracted a lot of women in menopause, perimenopause, menopause and postmenopause. So I really started working with clients, with these skin issues. Very soon came to realize that, of course, aesthetic treatments can be very successful, but you need the inside piece. You need the nutrition, you need the lifestyle piece as well, and mindset. So that's when I went back to university and studied nutritional science and became a nutritional therapist as well. But I also, another real thing that fascinated me with menopause was my mother. I remember my mother, I remember my grandmother, and all the women kind of around me when I was growing up. Which, I didn't realize that my mother was going through the menopause because she didn't speak about it. It certainly wasn't spoken about then. It's not really spoken about now. But,
True.
those many years ago, people never spoke about menopause. And my mum was really suffering. I can remember her going, oh, I've got one of those like hot flushes again. And she put weight on and she just felt awful, but never got any support or help because that doctors, I don't think, really understood. They didn't know what to do. So again, that really thought these women need support. And that's when I opened my own nutritional therapy business, specifically focusing on women 40 plus that need support through hormone, there's these hormonal changes.
Yeah, it's so interesting that as a teenager, you made that connection between your nutrition and your skin. I definitely was not that smart at that time, but it's kind of neat that you were just a natural researcher and interested, and you were able to see just an obvious change that happened from your nutritional change, and that it led you to where you are now is pretty awesome. And we need your information because you're right, we don't know. There's still today not enough information about menopause out there. And I'm going to ask a question that should seem obvious, but I feel like a lot of us still need the answer. What exactly is menopause, and why do you think we don't talk about it more?
Yeah, that is actually a very, very good question. And I get on a regular basis, the women that I talk to, don't, when you say the word perimenopause, they still don't really know what that is. And it's
Mhm.
due to the lack of conversation around it, isn't it? It's not, don't blame yourself that you don't understand it. It's basically because it's not spoken about. I mean, some countries are getting better. You can see, especially in the United Kingdom, there's a bit of a momentum behind it now because a lot of celebrities got involved and they did documentaries and everything, which is great because people are talking about it. But, I work worldwide and some countries, it's still like, no, you just don't talk about it. These women are really suffering. But to answer your
Mhm.
question, what is menopause? Now, menopause is something that every woman will go through, whether you want to or not. It's a natural phase of life for a woman. It's a transition, and it's broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is called perimenopause, and this, on average, it does depend where you live in the world, but on average, it starts at the age of 45. So perimenopause really is where your hormones, particularly estrogen and progesterone, which are the 2 main female sex hormones, start to decline. However, this isn't just, oh, they're declining and that's it, they go down and everything's fine. It takes many years for this transition. And during perimenopause, you're still menstruating. So you're still having periods every month. You can still absolutely get pregnant, but things are starting to shift. What I see in a lot of women is that the hormones are all over the place. You can have very high estrogen and low progesterone. It's a bit like this mad roller coaster ride. And because of this, it can trigger off menopausal symptoms like, your classic hot flashes, night sweats, weight gain, brain fog, anxiety, itchy skin. I mean, the list of menopausal symptoms just goes on and on. There's many, many different symptoms. So you can start experiencing these symptoms. They can just creep in. And that's perimenopause. And this kind of goes on and your hormones are all over the place and they gradually decline. When you haven't menstruated for a year consecutively, so when you haven't had a period for a year, you are then in menopause. And menopause is really the time where your ovarian function has stopped. You will no longer have periods and you're no longer fertile. And your estrogen and progesterone levels are like rock bottom because you're not producing these hormones anymore. Well, you do produce a little, but a very small amount. All the time after menopause is what we call post-menopause. And this is, the rest of a woman's life. We're living much longer, so it could be 30 plus years. But because of the decline in the hormones, because we don't have estrogen and progesterone anymore, unless you're taking hormone replacement therapy, you are vulnerable to certain chronic diseases such as osteoporosis, heart disease. They're looking into cognitive decline. There isn't really enough research to back that up yet, but is the lack of estrogen, does that have some connection towards cognitive decline as well? So there's many things that we have to look after more as we age as women because of the decline in hormones. We need our hormones. They're very important for everything.
Yes, absolutely. And, we do think of menopause as a moment. I'm having my cycles and then I'm not having my cycles. And that's kind of the way we're just kind of brought up thinking about it. But you're right. It's a 10-year process sometimes of those ups and downs and the hormonal changes. And as we were speaking before we started the podcast, it's important for men to listen to this information as well. They don't like to hear about it. They're like, okay, that's girl stuff. I'm going to go over here and, watch the game. But their partners are going through something big, and to understand that you haven't all of a sudden started getting on her nerves or, because of something you're doing, or to realize when she's feeling really terrible and be able to support her. And I know they want to do that and they don't have the tools either, a lot of them, to do that. So men, please keep listening if you're here so you can support the woman you love well. So the hormone changes, I always thought, oh, I'll just get hormone replacement. That's what I'll do. And so I did that. I just tootled on off to the doctor this year, hot flashes, just not feeling completely myself. I go in, I go, oh, I need hormone replacement therapy. And the doctor said, no, had been watching a lot of commercials. Here in the United States, we have all the drug commercials on all the time. And I was like, I know what I need. So I went in and I said, I need hormone replacement. And she said, no, you're not ready. You're in perimenopause. You're not in menopause yet. And if I put you on hormones right now, then you're going to have to come off of them in 3 years and go through this process again. And it was like being hit in the face that the thing I had in my head as, this is what I'll do. I couldn't do it. So now what? So what can we do when we're not ready for hormone replacement therapy, but we need to manage these symptoms that are happening in our lives?
Yeah, it's such an individual thing as well. There's not really one size fits all. It's very individual. Hormone replacement therapy is one option. That isn't what everybody wants to do. Some women can't take it, some don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But what the thing is, hormone replacement therapy, and I'm pro that. I'm not against hormone replacement therapy, but it's not a silver bullet. You can't. I think sometimes women think, oh, I'll just go on hormone replacement therapy and everything will be fine. No, it's part of the kind of jigsaw that you need to work on. If you decide to take hormones, that's one little piece. You have to look at your nutrition. You can't eat and behave like you did when you were younger because you just feel terrible. You need to look at your lifestyle. You need to look at movement, how you're exercising. And you need to look at sleep. You need to look at exercise, all of these things. And you need to get all of these in place. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You can't just do one of them. Unfortunately, you have to prioritize yourself because your body needs care. And, as women, we're very bad, aren't we, at looking after ourselves. We're carers. We tend to look after everybody else, and then we come at the bottom of the list. But during menopause and as we age as women, you need to be at the top of the list. So what can you do? That there's many things that you can do, but one of the first things, talking about nutrition, that would be most beneficial is to really look at what you're actually eating. We could do a whole podcast on this. I can really get on my soapbox about processed foods, the amount of sugar we consume, the toxic foods that we have in our environment that are terrible for our health. So being mindful and really trying to buy whole foods, foods that don't come in a package with 20, 30 different ingredients on them, but it doesn't have to be complicated. But buying vegetables that you can look at it and you know what it is. Buying, if you eat meat, buying meat, buying grains, whole grains with lots of fiber, rather than buying everything in a package that's been processed. It's the ultra processed foods that are so detrimental for health because of their ingredients. They've got so much sugar, they've got damaged fats, etc. in them. And it's been shown in research that if you have a diet high in sugar and processed foods, that you may experience menopausal symptoms a lot worse, particularly hot flashes, wine, alcohol, sugar, all of those things trigger or can trigger a lot of these menopausal symptoms. So really going back to basics and just eating proper food, that how we were meant to eat as human beings, that will make you feel a lot better before you even do, anything else. And I understand, I'm very realistic that, one, we don't have time to be cooking for hours. And two, when you go shopping, it's full of these processed foods, isn't it? I mean, the grocery store is just full of packaged foods that are laden with sugar. So you have to be mindful when you go shopping and just choose not to buy these foods because they're also not nourishing for the body. They hardly have very little nutrient content. You really want to be eating protein from meat or soya or beans if you don't eat animal products, dairy as well, vegetables, fruits, and then whole grains. We need fiber. We don't eat enough fiber. And particularly in perimenopause, it's very important to eat fiber so you can detoxify the estrogens in your body, so you eliminate them. If you're not eating enough fiber and your digestive tract isn't working as it should, your body can reabsorb these estrogens, which we don't want, because that triggers off a whole another set of issues. So fiber is really important in general, not just women. We don't tend to eat enough fiber. You want to be eating brown. Get rid of the white, things like white bread, eat brown bread. Like all the white flour, use wholemeal flour, brown rice instead of white rice. Get rid of all those things. That can really make a huge difference. And focus on another important thing with nutrition during menopause is to really look at protein. How much protein am I eating? Because we, again, don't tend to eat enough. Women lose muscle mass as we age and as we go through menopause. So we really want to keep hold of our muscles. And obviously you need to go and do exercise as well. But having a higher protein intake can really help with that. Roughly like a palm size of protein with every meal is a good guideline.
Yes, I've firsthand experienced the benefits of what you're talking about. And it's so true. It feels overwhelming to start eating whole foods and to switch up the ease of just grabbing something saucy and cheesy that makes you feel really good at the end of a long day. But the reward, once you do it, once you commit to it, when you revisit your old foods, you notice the difference and how you're not fed and how it makes you not feel well. And those guidelines you laid out are perfect. I heard Dr. Mark Hyman once say that when you're starting to try to eat healthy, just think about it this way. If God made it and it's the way he made it from the ground or from the animal or whatever, it's good. The more men mess with it, the more that's added, the worse they are. So that was the guideline I kind of lived by at first. Why is it so hard for us to lose weight in midlife?
Yeah, great question. I mean, you could talk about this for you could talk
I
about
know.
this for hours. It's a very common question that I get asked virtually every day, and it's multifactorial. There's so many things going on, but what we have to remember when we come into menopause, and menopause is a big factor in this, but you've also got the aging process going on, that comes into metabolism and all of this. So it's kind of these two things. And menopause just makes everything harder because of the decline in hormones. But a lot of women put on weight, particularly around the tummy area. You're eating the same, you're exercising, you're doing everything the same, and you just find that you get this like fat around the abdomen area. And this is very common in menopause. One of the things on the list of why this happens is the metabolic effects that happen in our bodies when we don't have our hormones. We need estrogen and progesterone for metabolic health. So when we don't have that, it kind of affects everything from digestion to the way that we use energy, to every single thing that we need really to keep our body in balance. And also testosterone, which is a hormone that women have as well. This isn't so much to do with menopause, but it does decline as we age as women. And when we have all these hormones that are out of sync, testosterone can become more dominant. And that can lead to changes in body shape, particularly tummy, area. And your body, I mean, the human body actually is an amazing thing. And what it does when you stop producing estrogen, your kidneys have something on top of them called the adrenal glands. They're little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. And these produce a very small amount of progesterone and estrogen as when you've gone through menopause. So your body still has a very small supply, but not very much. but your body realizes it needs these hormones, so it stores this estrogen around the tummy area. It's called like hormonal fat, which is actually quite hard to shift. And then a lot of women will develop thyroid problems. Thyroid gland sits like here at the base of the neck. And if you have a slow thyroid, which is called hyperthyroidism, this can really affect weight. So what I would say to you, if there's any women that feel that, that they're just feeling really exhausted and have put weight on for no real reason, go and have a thyroid test just to check that everything is all right with that. And then we do actually become slightly less active as we age, which kind of adds up, doesn't it? We lose muscle mass. Muscles burn energy. So it's very good to have muscles on the body because you burn calories. Your body needs more energy. So we lose those. So again, you've got that tendency to put weight on. And then a lot of the time, if you're feeling terrible because of the menopausal symptoms, you're not so inspired, are you, to go to the gym or maybe cook a nice meal? You just want to lie on the settee and watch telly because you just feel terrible. So it's a combination of all these things and many other things that cause this weight gain. But what I say to women is, because a lot of people think, oh, it's just inevitable and that there's nothing I can do about it. There is many things that you can do about it. So you don't have to just think, oh, this is it. Absolutely not.
Oh, that's good to hear. So one of the ways that we can find out what we can do about that is going to your website, AlisonBladh.com, the resources page. And you've recently written a book that is on pre-release as we're recording this. It will be released by the time that this is out. Can you tell me about your book?
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited. I've written a book called Have a Magnificent Menopause, a straightforward guide to looking good and feeling great. And in this book, it just exactly what I was talking about, weight, it gives you all the answers in there. And I'm a very practical person. It's loaded with practical information on what to do to make yourself feel great and also look great. There's a lot of skincare, looking after your nails, what happens during menopause and what I can do, because it's working on both my expertise as a nutritional therapist and an esthetician, to really understanding what goes on in the body, telling you what to do, basically.
What inspired you to write your book?
Yeah, great question. It inspired me to write my book because I felt that women needed realistic, practical advice that they can like read and understand easily. Because a lot of women say, "Oh, I just haven't got concentration. I've got brain fog," and also having worked so many years in women's health and really seeing what works when in real life. Taking all that knowledge from 35 years and just putting it down in a book. Because I feel every woman, actually, no matter what age you are, deserves to feel and look amazing.
Yes, absolutely. There's no point where we need to just cash in our chips and go, oh, I'm done with having a sparkle. I'm done with enjoying my life. My time is over. That never needs to happen.
When I did research, it was quite funny. Before I was writing this book, every woman that I spoke to said to me, just tell me what to do. Like, cut all the nonsense. Don't give me all that academic stuff. Just tell me what to do. So that's what this book is. Tells you what to do.
Oh,
it's from sleep, energy, skincare, weight loss, everything.
Oh, that is great. I cannot wait to get my hands on that, and I'm going to be getting on the pre-order list for sure. We all need that, and in a practical, straightforward way, not couched in a bunch of jargon that we're like, okay, get to the point of what do I need to do? And that's actually my next question is, what is something that a woman could do today to start improving her experience with perimenopause, menopause, all these hormonal changes?
Well, there's many things, but one thing, I think one easy thing that you could do. Okay, can I give two?
Yes. Oh, please, please.
The first thing that I would say to do, we've kind of touched on this a bit, is to eat foods that manage your blood sugar levels. And this can be done. Think about the first meal of your day. Make sure with that first thing that you eat that you have enough protein with it. Get rid of all the if you eat breakfast, if you get rid of all the cereals, because they're just like a dessert, really. White bread should be treated like cake. Get rid of all of that and eat protein.
Right.
Like you could have, for example, for breakfast, a piece of salmon, an avocado, and some spinach, as an example. You've got all that wonderful protein in the salmon. You've got the healthy fats that we haven't actually spoken about, but you need healthy fats. And you've got carbohydrates in the spinach and the vegetables. A brilliant breakfast. So important that you start the day with a palm size of protein. So that's the first one. And the second thing I would say, which I tend to work with first with clients, is manage your stress levels. Find a way to just kind of calm down, because a lot of women suffer from anxiety and they find it really affects their stress levels. Again, you've got the hormone things coming in here. Doing something for yourself on a daily basis, whether it's just for 10 minutes, can really help. And I love deep breathing. You're just sitting still. You can do it at your desk. You can do it wherever you are, taking a few deep breaths. It can be really beneficial just to calm yourself down. But stress management and blood sugar control, if you get those right, you're going to be feeling much better.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm going to start really focusing on that. I feel like I have the food situation pretty under control, the stress situation. Deep breathing is a really good idea. What are the most common menopause myths that you cover in your book?
Weight gain is inevitable. That's a big one, because I think there's many in the book, but it's not. We spoke about that. You might well gain a little bit of weight, but it is not inevitable. You just need to know. You just need to have the tools to know what to do to avoid that. So that's a big myth that I take up in the book. Another one is, hot flushes. People think that the only really menopausal symptom is having hot flushes, which it isn't. That isn't. Some women don't even have them. It can be many other things. One of the biggest symptoms of menopause is actually anxiety, brain fog, exhaustion. Those are very common menopausal symptoms. So hot flushes are not just the only symptom that you'll be experiencing. And then another myth that I bust is that it's all downhill from here. I'm just going to give up because there's nothing I can do. This is kind of, I'm going through menopause, that's it. And that is not true at all. And it's so fantastic, I think, to see, and I see that in many women, that they just get this like new lease of life as we get older as women. And I think it's that wonderful feeling of you just don't really care anymore. And I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to do this, and I really don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to go and do more dreams. I was talking to a lady the other week that had been, all she'd wanted to do was go to Australia and drive around in the outback of Australia in a van. And she'd actually gone and done it when I think she was like 65 or something. It's brilliant. I love that. But it's just a myth. It is not downhill. Menopause can actually be a new beginning. With the right support, many women feel fantastic, going through the whole post-menopause, and you can live for many years, 30, 40 years after the actual menopause when you're in post-menopause. So don't think like that at all. It's a fantastic phase of life. It's just another phase, a different part of your life.
Yes, that's a great way to look at it. And that is when I started season 2 of this podcast, that was the thought in my head of, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. What can we do to keep moving forward, midlife onward? Because we have so much life left and so much left to do and so many dreams left to fulfill. And I loved her experience in Australia. That's a pretty cool
Mm.
bucket list goal.
Quite a lot of
So
women set up as well. I see they set up their own businesses. Even they've been maybe working in the corporate world and they've retired, and then all of a sudden they'll set up like this huge big business and be super successful. I mean, it's fantastic.
when you're feeling well, we need that component of feeling well and feeling good in our bodies, coupled with the cool thing about midlife of how well we know ourselves by now. What a cool combination of what you bring, the health aspect, and balancing our hormones and making us feel right in our bodies, and the combination of that as well. So if someone is today just feeling overwhelmed, what is one simple thing from your book that they could start doing today? Or did we already touch on that whenever I posed the earlier question?
No, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. What we said, stress management and blood sugar control. Another thing that you could do is, I would say, movement. Take it easy. If you're not used to doing exercise, start going for a 10-minute walk after you've eaten dinner. That is a big thing. You really will see a difference because that helps to manage blood sugar levels as well. But movement is key. We need to move. We need to do something. You don't need to go and spend hours in the gym, but you need to. It's consistency. What we do, we need to do consistently on a daily basis. You don't have to go for an hour's walk. Even if you're not used to going walking, start with 5 minutes. Go for a 5-minute walk every day for a week and see how you feel.
That is great advice. Thank you so much for coming on today. You have brought us valuable information, and I know this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you have to offer. So I encourage everybody to visit AlisonBladh.com, go to her resources page, find what she has to offer there, find out how to connect with her. If you would like to have some one-on-one time with her and glean even more valuable information for women at this stage of life, also go to Amazon and buy her book. By the time this episode comes out, it will be available. In the meantime, I'm putting the link out there to give people a chance to grab it and be even more excited about meeting you, Alison.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is all mine.
Nobody's ever gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you 'cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple.